Hi, it's Lee and welcome to a tour of my island Buttercup, which is a very playful, bright, and colorful springcore island. I got the idea for this theme when I came across these custom designs. Speaking of which, all of the custom designs that I used for this island are listed in the Notion doc down below. Now, I spent about 2.5 months working on this island, and although I wanted to completely finish this island and get the tour video out before June, I did get a little bit sidetracked playing some other games, but at least I still got it out before summer officially started. Anyway, the vibe of this island is supposed to be kind of like half natural, half city-like, though I do admit it doesn't really give much of the city vibe as I had originally intended. Besides the 2 long plays I uploaded on my channel for this island, I did most of my decorating on Twitch. I will be working on a large slumber island this month, so feel free to join me if you would like to see more of my builds. And now, let's take a look at the map. As you can see, we have the main road marked on the map where vehicles can freely roam. We also have lots of mini path dots to indicate where I placed some coconut trees. Now, although the road is really structured, I still tried to keep the map pretty natural looking just because that's my preferred style. Now, for our villagers, I kept them as close to our theme colors as possible. So we have Teddy, Tammy, Tangy, Maggie, Graham, Henry, Marty, Goldie, Faith, and Joey. And with that, let's get started with the tour. Now, this entrance was the blueprint to how the rest of the island turned out. It has a little bit of everything the island has to offer, with Tammy's souvenir shop on the left, the little garden centerpiece, and a little park moment on the right. It honestly sets up the vibes perfectly for this island, with the bright colors and slight kidcore feel as well. And now, let's take a closer look at the area. Before heading to Tammy's souvenir shop, visitors have the chance to head to the left where they can purchase some snacks and get some money from the ATM. This small filler area was honestly such a huge struggle to figure out back then, but I'm happy with how it turned out. This is also where I started doing the color block fencing, which we will see more on this island. Now, for Tammy's souvenir shop, we can imagine that the inside is where the rest of the shop is, and the outside is just a small little pop-up for a little bit of tease. Before we enter the city area, let's take a moment to enjoy this small park to the right. Something I did here which I absolutely loved was doing this little item and code combo with the toy duck and the small chicks underneath. And honestly, it looks like a little duck and her children. Finally, down here, we have a small picnic table moment. Finally entering the city, we see the town square with Abel's Sisters on the left and Nook's Cranny on the right. The middle gazebo moment was unfortunately another struggle that took me embarrassingly long to figure out, but honestly, it turned out pretty good, especially with the fire flowers. So over here to the left, I wanted to emphasize the theme of a clothing store with Abel's Sisters, so we have multiple stalls selling various types of clothes. I also got the opportunity to show off some cute custom clothes that I found on Pinterest. Coming to the right is Nook's Cranny's huge grocery store. We've got lots of groceries out in the front, and some vendors are selling some food for the customers to sample and eat. I also got the opportunity to use the shopping cart and basket items for this build, which I found really cute. Now, let's head on over to the left side of the island. As you can see, the road is pretty fun and colorful, and it felt right to include some greenery and flowers on the road to emphasize the springcore theme. We just have a few fillers as we head to the neighborhood with this bus stop build that I repeated around the island as well. Then, over here walking past the ducks crossing the road, we get closer to the little cul-de-sac-like neighborhood. Now, this was the very first long play that I recorded for this island, and boy was it such a struggle. The layout in the center with the stalls was definitely the hardest part of this build, but I'm glad it's over now. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a closer look at each house. Over here to the left side, Henry is in charge of recycling and trash management of this island, so he has a bunch of trash trucks parked outside his house and some miscellaneous boxes and disposables. Behind his house is where Goldie resides, and she has a little mum garden that she tends to for her business. Then going to the other side, we have Tangy's mini orange orchard, which is important for her business as well. Then finally, Graham is the town's unofficial mechanic, so he's busy fixing up some vehicles in his yard. Coming along to the center, we have some stalls where Goldie and Tangy sell products for their respective businesses. Going up the incline, we are heading to a more urban part of town with My House Cafe on the left and Faith's gas station on the right. As you can see, I incorporated the utility poles just to bring out more of that city vibe for this area and also brought in a lot more vehicles. To the left over here, we have a small filler parking lot and bench moment. Then heading to the cafe, we can see a little garbage area which needs to be cleaned up and some outdoor seating here to the left. And now let's take a look at the cafe itself. Now for this cafe, I wanted to have a simple symmetrical layout, but I decided to spread the chairs around in a messy way just to break up that structured look a bit. We have a worker out by the counter taking orders, and we can imagine that the kitchen is right behind that current partition. Honestly, I'm obsessed with how it turned out, and I made sure to include lots of plants around the area to bring in the springcore vibes. This is honestly the only room that had the energy to decorate, so with that, let's go back outside. Crossing the road, we have Faith's gas station. As you can see, there are tons of cars already making use of her services. Now right next to her house is a little rest spot where customers can grab some food and relax before driving again. Walking along the road, we are nearing a construction site here on the left. I used the house moving trick before setting the DA to ensure that this empty house spot shows up in the build. We can imagine that they're building more apartments to increase the island's population or more shops to get more revenue. Following the main road, we see some apartments next to Joey's house. I really wanted this area to feel really lived in and similar to bigger cities where residences are pretty much jammed close together. And of course, we have another bus stop moment which connects to the town square build from earlier. Now before we continue on the main road, let's head back this way to see the campsite build. So for this build in particular, I wanted to do sort of like a bunny core moment, as I termed it, by placing around a bunch of bunny garden decorations and bunny day topiaries along the flower field. The reason I did this is because I have another flower field in a different part of the island, so I wanted to ensure that they didn't look too similar. Now let's take a closer look at the area. To the left here, I have a small picnic moment next to a pond just to introduce some variety into the area because the rest of this build is basically just flower spam. I always find flower fields very pretty, but placing flowers is always difficult because you want to try to have a nice variety of flowers without putting the same type next to each other. Now, before we cross the bridge, let's go back to the highway so we can get a nice view of the upcoming area. This highway build was the second long play video I did for this island, and I really love this area because look at that view in the background. This is exactly what I envisioned when I set this highway up, and it's so satisfying to get a nice overview of the farm from here. So this is Teddy's giant crop farm. As you can see, I only included crops that fit our color scheme, and while farm builds are usually tied to autumn islands, I tried to keep it as bright and colorful as possible. Heading to the right, we can see Marty's house in a little apiary moment, which officially closes off the farm. I honestly love all the windmills in the background, and the hard work of thinking about where to place them honestly paid off. Now, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the farm build itself. Coming from the bridge that connects to the campsite, we can see Teddy's house up close. I wanted to include a bunch of boxes, barrels, and storage related items to bring in some farm core elements in this build. Now right next to Teddy's house is a little barn. keep the tank item in the back, which I so desperately wanted to include. And then of course, walking to the right is the apiary build. I really enjoy doing this layout with some small clusters of beekeepers' hives spread around the area. And walking towards Marty's house is a little stall where he sells his honey products. Now enjoy this little clip of me running through this entire highway just because it's my favorite part of the island. Following the main road down, we come across yet another bus stop. Honestly, it's too bad that there isn't an actual bus item in the game. Walking along the road, you can already see a preview of the museum build in the background, which we will be looking at next. Now for the museum itself, I want to do a bit of pergola core to make it look like the area had a ton of structure while keeping true to the springcore theme with all the greenery. I opted to do another symmetrical layout just to emphasize the grand feeling of the museum, and I honestly love how elegant everything looks. To the left is where Marty's home is. And now this is how it looks like heading towards the museum itself. So now, let's follow the path heading towards the peninsula. Now for this small bit of land, I decided to just have a small seating moment. I decided to use the Iron Garden furniture here to match the more elegant vibes of the museum. We can imagine that the visitors of the museum come here to enjoy the ocean breeze. Heading back down, we can see some fake buildings on the right. I really wanted to make this island feel almost like a city, and fake buildings were a good way to kind of show that while filling up a lot of space. And finally, we have the fourth and last bus stop right across a small garden shop, which is honestly a good segue to our final build of the island, which is Maggie's rock garden. This is the second flower field of the island, and I wanted to have more of a garden feel for this area, so I included log stakes along the main path. I knew I didn't want a structured rock garden for this island, so I made sure that the rocks were spread out evenly in the frame. I was actually fortunate enough to have 3 out of 6 rocks spawn in very nice spots already, so I just had to map out where the other 3 would go. I also spread around the fire flowers to give it more of a fun, playful vibe. Finally, near Maggie's house, we just have our standard gardening fillers. Going down the ramp, we have some bistro tables to both sides of the road to show off more of the city vibes, and following the road we finally see resident services, and that officially finishes Buttercup. I hope you all enjoyed this island tour. It was so much fun building up this island, and although I did lose a little bit of inspiration in the middle of working on this island, I am still pretty satisfied with how this island turned out. The color scheme honestly makes me so happy, and I hope y'all felt the same way while watching this tour. If you would like to see me decorate more islands live, then feel free to follow me on Twitch. I have plans to work on a special large slumber island for this month, so come through and enjoy the cozy vibes. I will definitely be posting more Animal Crossing content on this channel, so feel free to subscribe if you enjoy my builds. Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.